I'm if listening or watching on demand.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello there, it's 6 o'clock. I'm Michelle Dewberry and this is Dewbs & Co. Coming up tonight, huge government election reforms. School children will be able to vote in the next election. Yes, indeed, 16 and 17-year-olds. Is this a good thing in your mind? And
it's a clear sign that we mean business. We are coming after the criminal gangs in every way that we can.
I mean, I don't know how you don't laugh at this point, but anyway, that's Keir Starmer there, meeting the German Chancellor and loving themselves for re-announcing steps that we already knew about. But take your blood pressure tablets, folks, because I'm going to show you exactly what is happening in the Channel. And let me tell you, it is insulting beyond belief. Which, by the way, is probably one of the reasons why a recent report said the UK is, I quote, a powder keg of social tensions right now. Let's discuss. And unfortunately, new figures show that even more people are unemployed. So you tell me, what is the answer to fixing this? Well, we've got all of that and a lot more alongside me to get stuck in. I've got Kelvin Mackenzie, the former editor of The Sun, and Aaron Bastani, the founder of Novara Media. But before we do indeed get stuck in, let's cross live and give you your 6 o'clock news headlines.
Michelle, thank you. The top stories: personal details of spies and special forces were included in a data leak that led to thousands of Afghans being secretly relocated to the UK. Information about more than 100 Britons was contained in the breach. Defence sources say details of MI6 spies, SAS and special forces personnel were included in the spreadsheet after they'd backed Afghans who'd applied to be brought to the UK. It comes after the personal information of thousands of people who applied for the Afghan Relocations and Assistance Policy was released in error in February of 2022 by a defence official. Sir Keir Starmer and the German Chancellor have signed a historic treaty to boost ties on trade, security and migration. The German Chancellor says today's treaty comes under the major challenges of our time. These, Merz says, includes Britain's exit from Europe, which he says he found deplorable. Known as the Kensington Treaty, this is the first agreement of its kind between the UK and Germany. It includes new school exchanges and a legal crackdown on smuggling gangs behind small boat crossings. Downing Street says the deal marks a significant step in tackling illegal migration across Europe. It comes as more than 21,000 people have crossed the Channel this year, up 56% on last year.
Crucially, we're also working together on illegal migration. And I want to thank Friedrich for his leadership on this, pledging decisive action to strengthen German law this year so that small boats being stored or transported in Germany can be seized, disrupting the route to the UK. And it's a clear sign that we mean business. We are coming after the criminal gangs in every way that we can.
Emergency services are working to free the occupants of a bus crash near Minehead in Somerset. The bus was involved in a collision between Wedden Cross and Timbercombe today. It's unclear how many people have been injured and how seriously. Police have told drivers to avoid the area. The local MP has described it as a distressing incident. 16 and 17-year-olds will be able to vote in the next general election under sweeping reforms unveiled today. Ministers say the changes will modernise democracy and help bring 9.5 million more people into the electoral system. The plans also include automated voter registration and new accepted IDs like UK bank cards and digital versions of driving licences. Campaign finance rules will also be tightened to stop foreign interference and shell company donations. It comes after the turnout at the last election was just over 59%, the lowest in over 2 decades. 4 Labour MPs have been suspended from the party for repeatedly rebelling against the government on welfare. The Prime Minister removed the party whip just after Prime Minister's questions yesterday, meaning they'll now sit as independents in the House of Commons. 3 other MPs have also been stripped of their trade envoy roles. One dismissed envoy told us it was petty and a bit pointless. Another MP called the move ridiculous and vindictive. Downing Street insists it's about stamping out disloyalty before Parliament's summer break. The government's flagship Drive project to tackle domestic abuse is getting a £53 million boost to expand nationwide over the next 4 years. It works directly with perpetrators to stop reoffending with one-to-one casework and measures like protection orders and drug and alcohol treatment. Home Office Minister Jess Phillips says the aim is to intervene early and relentlessly pursue those who pose a risk to women and girls.
What they do is stop the offending happening again and again. They stop the worst domestic abuse perpetrators, the most high-risk perpetrators, from going on to repeat with the same women and children, then on to a next family. This is all about, once and for all, making a focus on the perpetrators and not just tidying up messes after it's already happened.
In a pioneering first, 8 babies have been born in the UK using DNA from 3 people to stop deadly genetic diseases being passed on. The technique replaces faulty mitochondria from the mum's egg with healthy ones from a donor. It means children inherit almost all of their DNA from their parents, but some from another woman. All 8 babies were born free of mitochondrial disease, an incurable condition that can be fatal in infancy. And finally, resident doctors are willing to discuss all options in crunch talks with the government to avert strike action. The co-chair of the Resident Doctors Committee says crunch talks due to take place this week in a bid to stop the 5-day strike by doctors in England that's set to begin on the 25th of this month. The Health Secretary is meeting the BMA's Resident Doctors Committee today. Tensions, though, are already high after he questioned their credibility as a negotiating partner. The government says there's no more money for pay rises. The BMA argues doctors need a 29.2% uplift to reverse years of pay erosion. Those are the latest headlines for now. More news in an hour. It is over to Michelle.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Thank you very much for that, Tatiana. My name's Michelle Dewberry. This is Dewbs & Co. We're with you until 7 o'clock tonight. Alongside me, Kelvin Mackenzie, the former editor of The Sun, and Aaron Bastani, the founder of Novara Media. Good evening, gents. You're always welcome in Dewbs & Co. I always get a little bit nervous, though, when I see your face, Kelvin, because I always think to myself, what's he going to come out with tonight? What is he going to come out with tonight? Anyone else feel like that, or is it just me? You can join the conversation in all the usual ways tonight. You can email me, gbviews@gbnews.com. You can go to the website, gbnews.com/yoursay, or of course you can tweet or you can X me. There is a lot we need to get stuck into tonight. If you are of soft disposition, you might want to take your blood pressure tablets right now, because what I'm going to show you a bit later on in the programme, you won't believe your eyes, ladies and gents. We are, I was going to say becoming a laughing stock, but that ship has sailed, hasn't it? We are literally a laughing stock. You will not believe the antics that is going on in the channel on a daily basis, I would suggest, but we'll come to that, worry not. But before we get to that, let me ask you straight, do you think it's a good idea that school children, I mean, I'm saying this, it makes me laugh, so you can probably tell my view, but school children be allowed to vote at the next election? The government, of course, have announced plans to allow exactly that. 16 and 17-year-olds, apparently. It's all about fairness in the system. Before I bring the panel in, let me just show you a poll. that was conducted that actually looks at the voting intention of said children. It shows that Labour Party, 33%, Reform would be on 20%, Greens 18%, Lib Dems 12%, Tories 10% and other on 7%. That was conducted the 4th to the 6th of July. I can't remember when Jeremy Corbyn announced his new party, but if that was before, then it'd be interesting to see how that fares in that poll. But anyway, Kelvin Mackenzie, your thoughts?
Well, actually, I'm in favour of it being raised from 18 to 21. It was in 1969 that the 18-year-olds were given the vote, and here we are 5 decades later, and it's hard to tell what percentage, but it looks as though it will probably be around about 30% or slightly less of those 18-year-olds are voting. So God knows what the number will be when it gets to 16. I think the other aspect to look at is on what basis are they voting? And so will it be... Yeah, I mean, to be truthful, all they will have done in their lives is worked out what they want to watch on YouTube or Netflix. They will have achieved nothing. They would have been subsidised completely by their parents. And surely you've got to have some knowledge of life before the important... I mean, receiving the vote is not just like breathing. It doesn't come down the... You know, it's not like Santa. You don't get it delivered as a present. This is an important part of being a grown-up. They are children, they are teenagers, they are not grown up. They know nothing about life. They can't take a considered view, whether it's an ill-considered view like voting Labour, or a decent thought process like voting on the right. It doesn't matter. And I am not in favour of just handing out an important subject like a vote to somebody who knows nothing and may may not be contributing anything to society, which is why I'm not in favour.
Well. Loads of adults know nothing and don't contribute to society.
But you talk now. One of the points that she talked about, Angela Rayner talked about, was a kind of sense of participating in democracy. They're hardly participating in their bus fare. You know, they've not done anything. That's why I'm not in favour of it at 18 either. I'd like to see it at 21. I'd like to see it when they actually went to work. I would like to see somebody actually... They talk about paying taxes, right? Well, at 16, right, the whole point of our society now is to put off the moment at which you work at least until you're 18 and possibly even until you're 21 now. And so there is nothing about this except they said it as part of their manifesto. Therefore, they've decided to do it. And therefore, I think it's once again another error by Starmer.
Do you know, you can't even buy a tube of super glue in this country. I'm not exaggerating. You can't even buy a tube of super glue when you're age 16 and 17. I'll bring Aaron Bastani on this topic in a second, but I do need to tell you some apparent breaking news. According to reports, Diane Abbott has been suspended by the Labour Party. It comes... You'll be familiar with this. She doubled down about the comments that she made about racism in a letter to The Observer in 2023. She essentially wrote that Irish, Jewish and traveller people, quote, undoubtedly experience prejudice that is similar to racism. Anyway, now there's been a new interview and she was asked if she looks back on that whole thing with regret, and she said, and I quote, "No, not at all. Clearly, there must be a difference between racism, which is about colour, and other types of racism, because you can see a traveller or a Jewish person walking down the street. You don't know. You don't know unless you stop and speak to them, or you're at a meeting with them. But," she says, "if you saw a black person walking down the street, you can see straight away that they're black. There are different types of racism." Aaron Bastani, your thoughts on that?
Well, I think what she says seems quite sensible, but I don't know the full content of her comments, but there are obviously different kinds of racism. It doesn't help Keir Starmer that he's suspending and removing the whip from so many people. On the lowering the voting age to 16, you know, I'm not opposed to it necessarily. I don't think it's going to make a huge difference in the next general election because, of course, turnout, as Calvin said, for 18 to 21-year-olds is not particularly high anyway. I saw some modelling that basically meant the Tory party would get 0.5% less, Labour would get 0.5% more in terms of 2024 if the electorate was extended to 16-year-olds. Looking forward to 2029, the one party that is absolutely screwed by this, I think, is the Conservative Party. Reform do pretty well amongst younger people, particularly younger men. The Lib Dems do pretty well amongst younger people. The SNP, the Greens, Labour, they do well, but you know they're going to lose votes as well to the left. So let's see. But the real loser in this is the Conservative Party, and I really wouldn't be surprised. In famous last words, I really wouldn't be surprised if they get less than 50 seats in the next general election. I think this could be a major problem for them in marginal constituencies with the Lib Dems to their left and Reform to their right. If they lose a couple of hundred votes even because of this change to both those parties in different places, it's going to make a world of difference.
OK. Can I just say about that Diane Abbott, by the way?
Well, hang on, before you do...
I agree with Diane Abbott.
Hang on, just wait. Before you do say that, hold your horses, young man. A Labour Party spokesperson has said, I wasn't talking about you, I meant Aaron, Diane Abbott has been administratively suspended from the Labour Party pending an investigation. They say we cannot comment further whilst this investigation is ongoing. Go on, then.
Why on earth would the Labour Party suspend her for that? After all, it's plainly true, right? It's plainly true. It is true that there is a lot of anti-Semitism in our country right now, and you know where a lot of it is coming from. OK? It's coming from the members of the Islamist community over Gaza, right? But it is plainly true that if somebody is black or brown and walking and you have a hostility towards them, we're talking about minorities, you are going to see that and have a thought process about that when you're not going to have it about somebody who's Irish or got a red head or potentially Jewish. You're going to see a colour is the first thing you see. And if you ask people of colour, that colour is important to them. And on the other side, there are horrible people who don't like that, right? So it is. So why are the Labour Party doing this? Are they doing it actually because it's plainly true? Are they doing it actually because they actually don't like her? Right? Is that the reason? Are they being racist? You know, I just can't. For the life of me, I can't understand it. She said nothing there which I think would offend people generally. Now, if you're Jewish, right, it may be possible that you could be recognised walking down the street. I very much doubt it. If you are Caribbean or you come,
you would be recognised if you was wearing a skull cap. You'd be recognised as or identified as Jewish. You might have a view,
and there will be horrible people who have a view about that, right? Yes, that's true. But that is a minority. The massive majority is about whether you're black or brown, and it's much easier to work things out. I don't understand it. I think the Labour Party are all over the place on almost everything. I would say that there's a hatred towards Diane Abbott because of her politics, which is speeding this along.
Well, should we hear from Diane Abbott? So this was the interview earlier on that's caused this latest bit of hot water. Take a listen.
You appear to suggest, in the view of some of your critics anyway, that the kind of anti-Semitism that the Jewish community suffered or travellers suffered or Irish people suffered was somehow different from the racism that you as a young black person had suffered. You were suspended and there was a great hoo-ha. Do you look back on that with regret?
No, not at all. Clearly, there must be a difference between racism, which is about colour, and other types of racism.
Aaron, any further thoughts from you on this? I mean, to be honest, I'll give her a few minutes before she actually just teams up with Jeremy Corbyn and Zara Sultana.
Yeah, true.
I don't think, of all the people watching this right now, I think less than 1% would think that she's wrong in what she's saying. She's saying there is racism towards Jewish people and towards travellers, people of traveller heritage, and there's racism towards people of, black or brown heritage, but they're not the same thing. And I think 99.9% of the public would agree with that. If there's I've got many Jewish friends, if you saw them walking down the street, you wouldn't know they were Jewish. Of course, if they make a job application, they might have a certain kind of name, then yes, they might be discriminated on the basis of that name. The point that Diana's making is that you can't see that at first pass like you can with a brown or black person. We all know this. I mean, this is Keir Starmer's Labour Party. The man is a panic attack in waiting. The slightest media scandal and they start having the pulse go up and they start, asking one another, what on earth do we do? Panic stations, get the PR people out. Look, it's calm down. You're trying to run the country. If this is the kind of thing that the Prime Minister and the party of government is focused on when they're trying to run the country, this country has so many problems. and they're suspending an MP for saying something which 99.9% of the public agrees with. It's crazy.
There's a lot of people that didn't agree with it, and there's a lot of people that were actually offended by it. And at the time, Diane Abbott, I recall, basically ended up apologising. I think it was for any anguish caused. So whilst you might say that pretty much everyone agrees, there are absolutely a cohort of people that absolutely do not. And there's a lot of people that think she should never have been readmitted in the first place.
But your earlier point was correct. She didn't have a place to go. Right. So now she has a place to go. So at some stage she'll be teaming up with Corbyn and joining the other kind of left-wing dinosaurs, you know, so there's a dinosaur cemetery, you know.
Well, what do you think to it all, ladies and gents? Do you have strong opinions either way on that, Diane Abbott? Is this what you care about right now? Is it Keir Starmer trying to demonstrate that he is hard as nails? Does it wash with you? He was talking to the German Chancellor today, announcing stuff that, quite frankly, we already knew. So we'll have the latest on that for you. But I also want to talk to you about unemployment. Unfortunately, that number has risen again. I'll see you in a few minutes.
This is our country, and we think it's amazing. From high tea to the high street, we love it all. Even the rain, we like that too. There's nowhere else we'd rather be. That's why we're here to be the fearless champion of Britain, its voices and its values. Because we are GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Allergy practitioner Dr. Claire Anyamasigwe joins us now. Good to see you this morning.
Very good.
Does the hot weather necessarily mean more pollen?
It does. It actually accelerates the issue. So you've got pollen from the trees, from the grass, you've got pollution, and now you've got the heat wave as well. So that concoction flares up the skin, especially around the nostrils. We're streaming, we're sniffling, we're itching our eyes. So for me, as an allergist, my practice is about advocating for plant-based antihistamines. So I think the prep starts the night before. You're washing the clothes that you've worn the night, during the day, so you're not bringing pollen into the home. You are eating quercetin-rich ingredients like leeks, garlic, kale. So you can make yourself a lovely soup. I would say use them together. If you are somebody that already eats quercetin-rich foods in your diet, you're doing a more plant-based diet, then you're ahead of the game. But if you're not and you've suddenly been hit this week, 26 Celsius is going higher every day. 16 million of us are suffering with hay fever. 3.4 million of that have hay fever and asthma. So for those sufferers, they're looking for a solution right now. I would combine the two. I would start changing my diet to match what I've suggested, and I would also do what your GP suggests.
Do any of these things, if you take them year in, year out, do they lessen do they have an impact over time and you become less reactive to pollen?
Yes, absolutely. And that's why I'm really advocating for children. If we can get parents watching this to start children with natural raw honey, so find out about your local beekeepers, start spreading your natural jams.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Dewbs & Co. with me, Michelle Dewberry, Kelvin McKenzie and Aaron Bastani with you until 7 o'clock tonight. What do you think to this conversation about young school children being able to now vote, 16, 17-year-olds? Paul said, Michelle, I joined the RAF when I was 16, so why should I not have been given the right to vote? And you've said my youngest son played football once when he was 16, and he played a whole match with his boots on the wrong foot. That's what kids are like. Lainey says, Michelle, 16-year-olds can't buy cigarettes, beer, can't have a credit card, they can't have a loan, they can't get married, blah, 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 and they have to stay in education. They absolutely should not be able to vote. John says, Michelle, I agree with Kelvin. The voting age should be raised to 21. It's silly, quite frankly, is another message. But he says, whilst I think it's silly, I also suspect a 16-year-old could do better than Keir Starmer and some of his MPs. Oh, you're a harsh man. Anyway, look, we've got lots to discuss tonight. Of course, Keir Starmer was meeting with the German Chancellor, talking about smashing the gangs and so on. We'll bring you the latest on that, and you won't believe what's been going on the channel as well. But before I get to that, I want to talk to you about unemployment. It's really not looking good in this country. Unemployment has surged again to 4.7%. That is the highest in 4 years. Apparently, job vacancies as well are falling. What's the solution to all of this, Kelvin McKenzie, do you think?
Well, clearly, sticking up taxes, which mean that big companies or companies of any size don't want to hire people because the national insurance have gone up, is one of the things which have triggered this off. However, we are a very strange country now. That unemployment rate should be a lot higher. But the reason it isn't is we have so many people claiming benefits, especially sickness benefits. And actually, companies sometimes can't find the number of employees that they need. And so the argument then becomes, let's have migrants come in and fill these jobs. I would like to see that stopped, clearly. But so these numbers are not as bad. In fact, I saw somebody say the other day that the kind of chief operating officer of the Bank of England says we are not going to start panicking until unemployment goes over 5%. And at which point, then we will start cutting interest rates. What is quite clear is that the Bank of England governor will be under the most enormous pressure, which will be good news for homeowners anyway, to cut by at least 0.25% in August. If these numbers carried on in this rather this difficult way, I could see interest rates falling by at least 0.5% to 0.75% by February of next year.
Aaron?
Well, it's not good, is it? You've got rising inflation, you've got rising unemployment, and you've got effectively no growth. We've only had 2 months rather than the last quarter, but it doesn't look very good. In April and May, the economy shrank. And that's not in per capita terms even. That's just overall, even though, of course, the labour market's bigger, more people are working. So in per capita terms, it's even worse. There's two ways of looking at this. One is there was an almighty shock with regards to national insurance contributions going up. And in fact, this kind of bump in unemployment is surprisingly low. That's probably my view, actually. I would have expected it to be higher.
My view as well.
But I also think that we could be in a really bad place 6 months, a year, where we're in a recession, inflation's quite stubborn, 4-5%, and unemployment is ticking up above 5-6%. The problem for the UK economy for the last 30 years has not been unemployment. The problem has been productivity growth. We have not had high unemployment compared to other countries on the continent. And so I think that would be the place to focus on. Basically, in terms of output per person, per hour worked, this country has gone nowhere for 17 years. If that's moving in the right direction, the rest will follow. So that's the data point.
OK, but the answer to that is not to have more trade union laws in order to protect people. We need people to work hard. Otherwise, the whole of Asia is going to eat our lunch.
You should see what I eat for my lunch. They won't want it, quite frankly. Anyway, look, are you unemployed at home? Are you trying to get a job? What's it like? Get in touch and tell me. Lots to discuss after the break. Keir Starmer talking tough about migrant crossings, but take your blood pressure tablets, ladies and gents, because you will not believe what I am about to show you. I'll see you in a few minutes.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Lots of hot, strong sunshine around the Mediterranean at the moment. A few showers are possible in Sicily and inland over Turkey We may just see 1 or 2 showers. Most of the coast here dry and sunny. Much of the Greek islands also dry, fine and sunny. 1 or 2 showers through the spine of Italy, but again, the coast's dry and fine. Northern parts of Spain may see a bit more cloud and a few showers. Quite a brisk wind blowing over the Canaries, but it's going to be hot in Tenerife. Temperatures just dipping a little bit here into the weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hi there, welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Over the next 24 hours, it's going to stay warm and humid for many of us. An uncomfortable night for sleeping. Showers in the north and west, but drier towards the southeast. We've got low pressure moving slowly northeastwards, swinging some weather fronts into the west. That's what's causing the cloud and some outbreaks of showery rain into Scotland, Northern Ireland, western parts of England and Wales overnight. Elsewhere, mostly dry, areas of cloud, some low cloud and mistiness around southern and western coasts, and a muggy night to come wherever you are. Temperatures staying generally up around 15 to 18 Celsius. That gets us off to a warm start to Friday, but a mixed start depending on where you are across the United Kingdom. We've got areas of cloud and showery rain pushing into eastern Scotland, reaching Orkney, but not quite Shetland at this time. Western Scotland brightening up after earlier rain, and there will be further showers following into Northern Ireland, but perhaps an element of brightness there for a few hours during the early morning period. Wales and Western England likewise, band of cloud and some showery rain moving through, but the rain not too heavy towards the southwest. Ahead of this, the Midlands, eastern and southeastern England, seeing a hot and humid day. Temperatures widely in the mid to high 20s, touching 30 to 32 Celsius in some of the hotter parts of East Anglia and the southeast. Of course, that heat and humidity with low pressure nearby combining to give some thunderstorms, particularly for northeast England later in the day. And there'll also be further showers into the northwest, but some even livelier showers and thunderstorms developing on Friday night and into Saturday, emanating from France, pushing northwards across central and eastern parts of the UK. Some particularly heavy rain moving through northern England and southern Scotland, followed by further showers and thunderstorms, initially from the south and then into Sunday from the west. So a lot of rain to come.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good evening. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A75 at Annan is closed due to a road traffic incident. Drivers should seek alternative routes and plan for additional travel time. In Surrey, a medical emergency has closed one lane on the A3 southbound between the A283 and A333, with traffic clearing between 8:15 and 8:30 tonight. A broken down vehicle on Buckinghamshire's M25 clockwise between junction 15 and 16 is causing 2-lane closures and 50-minute delays. And on the trains, disruptions continue on ScotRail between Partick and Anniesland, Yoker, and on cross-country services between Macclesfield and Stoke-on-Trent. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Hello everybody, I'm Michelle Dewberry. This is Dewbs & Co. Alongside me, I've got Kelvin McKenzie and Aaron Bastani. At the top of the programme, I was asking your thoughts about whether or not it's right to let school children vote in the next general election. David, at home, you have won the comments so far this evening because you have said if a 16-year-old child can vote, then they should be named going forward if they commit a crime. They can't be a child 1 minute, Michelle, and then an adult the next. David, I think you are absolutely spot on because, of course, if a 16-year-old goes wandering around stabbing people or all the rest of it, you will all know there's anonymity. Very, very good point, David. Very good point indeed, and I would agree with you and say, no, actually, they shouldn't get that anonymity. What would you guys say to that at home? But look, Diane Abbott, of course, she's been suspended by the Labour Party. Keir Starmer, he has also been chairing a meeting with the German Chancellor. Let's cross live to our political editor, Christopher Hope, for the latest on both of those things. Christopher, good evening to you.
Evening, Michelle. Yeah, big news there. We're seeing Diane Abbott suspended administratively. She basically reignited this row from October 2023 when she said that if you're black, it's a different form of a racism experience than if you're Jewish or a traveller. She said this, didn't she? There must be a difference between racism, which is about colour, and other types of racism, because you can see a traveller or a Jewish person in the street, you don't know until you speak to them. But of course, if you see a black person, then you can see straight away they are black, and that's a different type of racism. It's reignited this battle in the party, and now she's been suspended tonight, losing her whip. That comes after 4 others lost their whips yesterday. Earlier, Sir Keir Starmer was asked about this. Why is that he's now suspending MPs when he's got this huge majority in the House of Commons? And he said he's determined. He told reporters at this press conference with Mr. Merz from Germany, the Chancellor, I'm determined, he says, to change this country for the better. We have to deal with people who repeatedly break the whip. So it's different, a different form of discipline with Diane Abbott, but certainly he's cracking the whip as these MPs disappear off for their 6-week summer break. Earlier we heard from Friedrich Merz talking with Sir Keir Starmer. It's clear that the UK is trying to form an alliance with both France and Germany on tackle the 2 big issues that those 3 countries share, which is defence and migration. And we may have a clip of what's being said earlier.
Crucially, we're also working together on illegal migration. And I want to thank Friedrich for his leadership on this, pledging decisive action to strengthen German law this year so that small boats being stored or transported in Germany can be seized, disrupting the route to the UK. And it's a clear sign that we mean business. We are coming after the criminal gangs in every way that we can.
Sir Keir Starmer there and Friedrich Merz. Of course, the German Chancellor couldn't resist a bit of a dig about Brexit, but that's what happens there. Of course, nowadays, any European leader coming here likes to get there or in, interfere in our democratic process. I'm not sure about that, but there we are. Of course, he was standing in front of 2 union flags, while Friedrich Merz in front of the EU flag and, of course, the German flag, and that almost indicates the fact we are separate from the European Union. But we are seeing increasingly how the UK is forming an axis with the France and Germany in Europe. They're called the E3 leading European nations. I think we're seeing more of that as we go forward. The question for many Brexiteers is, how close can you get to the European Union and lose those benefits of Brexit?
Christopher Hope, thank you very much for that insight. Ladies and gents, that key thing that jumps out of what Christopher was saying to me there was this kind of notion that the German Chancellor and Keir Starmer are clamping down on the business of the people smugglers. I hope you're sitting down and I hope you've taken your blood pressure tablets, because I actually want to show you what, in fact, is happening when it comes to these channel crossings. Let me start by showing you this. So this is from today. Watch. So if you're listening on the radio, let me describe to you the scenes that you are seeing. You are seeing scores of men. Sorry, Darren Jones. These are men. You are seeing scores of men in water so shallow it could barely even be called a puddle, before they then start running into the channel. And there are loads of them, and they are all running and running and running, getting ready to board this so-called small boat. And I mean, you can see just how shallow this water is. And whilst I'm talking to you, you've all got to remember the fact that we are paying the French. I think it's something like £700 million so far to try and get them to stop this. So here we are. They are now atop of this so-called small boat. I mean, this thing is absolutely packed to the rafters. And you can see, ladies and gents, this is shallow water. So we're not goodness knows how many miles out from shore. You can see this is at best, if I'm going to be generous, ladies and gents, it is at best waist height. Well, look at this. So up rocks the French. I will remind you, we've paid these people £700 million. They are supposed to be preventing this. If you're listening on the radio, up rock the French in their dinghy, and they hand out life jackets. They are handing out, for their voyage on a so-called small boat, handing out life jackets. Well, let's take a look, because it doesn't stop there, ladies and gents. Oh, no, let's look at this next one. Because now, off they go on their merry way. Let me get you this second clip, because you won't believe your eyes. Here we go. Let's see what they're there. This is footage filmed by one of these migrants. They're on their boat, and up rocks another French support crew. It's like the equivalent, if you like, of the RNLI. This time, they're handing out refreshments to said migrants on said small boat. So just to remind you all, this is a boat of illegal migrants departing in very shallow water from a country that we are paying hundreds of millions of pounds to stop these crossings. If this is not actually the French encouraging and enabling these crossings, I don't know what is. These illegal migrants on this boat are absolutely delighted to be refreshed in this way. I don't know what I'm going to see next, ladies and gents, when all of this carries on. Is it going to be them getting served an afternoon tea, some sandwiches for their voyage along? And let me just show you, actually, these things that we call small boats, the size of these things. And it's all well and good, isn't it, talking about, yeah, we're going to clamp down on the business of this and the business of that. This, when I saw this footage today, look at the size of these small boats. These are not small boats. And actually, when you look at the amount of people that are on these boats now, it's almost equivalent to the occupancy of a double-decker bus. So why are we keeping calling these things small boats and enabling that kind of language? I'm not going to do it anymore. On this programme, from here on in, I will never refer to these things as a small boat ever, ever again. I'm going to start referring to them as illegal migrant ferries, because that's what they are. I mean, Kelvin McKenzie, I find this, when I sit in here day in, day out, telling pensioners, you're going to get freezing cold in your own home this winter, talking to disabled people about the fact that they're absolutely terrified that they're going to lose their benefits, listening to farmers on the edge of suicidal kind of tendencies because they too are going to get absolutely squashed, hearing about ridiculous secret deals that are done to the tune of billions of pounds, and then you see that this is what is going on. It is so infuriating, and I don't feel like Keir Starmer actually acknowledges the severity of what is going on. What do you feel when you see those images?
Well, what we're seeing is, and remember, Starmer has turned out to be totally useless, and sort of given chocolate teapots a good name, really, to be honest. But so had previous politicians from the Conservative Party. Nobody wants to address this issue because actually the reality is, to stop it, we have to turn the boats back.
No,
and to turn
slash the boat. Well, this notion that we need to turn the boat.
Right,
that
but all right, slash the boat. The French are not going to do it. They are not going to do what we...
Well, then stop paying them then.
OK, stop paying them. I agree with you. Stop paying them, but also face a very difficult issue. We will literally come very close to war, OK? We want to turn them back, or we want them to slash the boats. They won't slash the boats, right? They only did it, actually, as it turned out to be. They fooled me. It was a PR exercise, right? It fooled me, right? So what are we going to do? We can talk about it. Starmer is never going to go to battle over it. So if that's not going to happen, we are going to be watching disgraceful scenes like this literally for the next 4 years. And when Farage gets in, this is the greatest recruiting film for Nigel Farage's reform in history, right? And this will carry on for years.
Aaron?
Well, I'm curious what Farage can do, because, of course, what they're doing in France is not illegal. They're in France already. Many of them could stay there permanently if they wanted to. The point is, once, of course, they've crossed that border into British waters, it's at that point it becomes an offence. And I think this is really instructive footage, because it really does show how little the French are doing, right? I mean, it's kind of extraordinary, actually. And I think that's the major problem for whoever governs this country, is that the French aren't stopping these leaving. That is That is the number one question that needs to be addressed.
How are we going to deal with that?
Well, you can't, because it's French territory, right?
Right.
But you've got to immediately pull the funds. Has Keir Starmer, or heaven forbid, David Lammy, immediately been into the office of Macron and told them in no uncertain terms, there is not a single penny more coming from this country to your country until these boats get slashed? That is it. It stops.
I think it probably wouldn't even need to be slashed. I mean, you could probably have a situation where you don't have certain people being processed in places north of X. The idea that you have large numbers of people inhabiting right across the north of France with access to being able to do this, I think is in nobody's interest. So I think what you've done there is focusing on the French authorities and, you know, frankly, a complete absence of control. And they don't want control because, of course, they're happy for people to leave France and go to the UK. Yeah. It's going to take somebody, if you care about this stuff, it's going to take somebody who is going to play some kind of poker game with the French. But as Calvin says, that's really high stakes. You know, we have a lot of economic trade with the French, they're an ally, etc.
And it will affect, not only affect the French. The French will go to Brussels and say, this is not just a war against France, this is a war against the EU because we all suffer from it. So it's in everybody's interest to solve this, but it's not in the French interest to solve it because that means that they have those people wandering around northern France rather than coming here. It is very difficult, and the truth about the matter is, for Starmer, he's just decided, I'm going to tough this out over 4 years. I don't care. They're likely to vote Labour anyway.
Oh, I can tell you, there was more footage that I could show you that really, really would have infuriated you all. But I thought to myself, do you know what? I don't want to tip you all over the edge because I do want you to stay with me until 7 o'clock because there's lots more that we need to discuss. I want to talk about the Labour MP, Jess Phillips. I mean, where do I even begin with this one? I'll see you in 2.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's News Channel. At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Dewbs and Co. with me, Aaron Bastani and Kelvin McKenzie. Chris on Twitter says, what disgusting reporting from you, Michelle. Giving water to humans is not refreshments. You need to get a grip. Well, you, Chris, need to get a dose of common sense, give your head a wobble. This is people, a country that we are giving hundreds of millions of pounds to prevent these crossings. What is actually happening is the polar opposite. Whilst this money is actually banked, we are enabling, or not we, that country is enabling and facilitating those crossings. And of course, giving someone water, there's not a problem with that in any walk of life. If you're sitting on a beach chilling out, sure, provide water. That's not what this is. And if you don't think that this is taking the mick, then I don't know what to say to you, quite frankly. But look, there's even more that I'm infuriated about tonight, you'll be pleased to know. The Secretary for Safeguarding and Violence Against Women and Girls, Jess Phillips, she has come under fire. Take a listen to her being interviewed earlier on.
Afghans are 20%, according to these numbers, 20 times more likely to account for sex offence convictions than British people. Does that concern you?
I mean, like, I have to look across all of this data and think about where I have to really focus and target resources on the prevention work that I am determined to do.
Do you think there are people in this country who have a culturally very, very different view of women and therefore are more likely to be engaged in these kinds of activities?
Which culture doesn't have patriarchy and misogyny in it? Because...
Do you think?
No, I mean, like I have seen victims and perpetrators from every single walk of life.
Do you think we are a fundamentally misogynistic?
I tell you what the group of people who are most likely to abuse, that is men.
Ugh. I mean, what hope have we got, ladies and gents? And I'm trying my best to calm myself down and be happy and upbeat. It's hard. What hope have we got, as a woman, of being kept safe by our Minister of Safeguarding for Women if that individual cannot even seem to accept that some collectives of men pose a much higher risk to the safety of women? If you can't even acknowledge that, then how are you going to deal with the issues presented to you?
I mean, it's quite a basic thing to concede as well, right? That there are big cultural differences between British people and Afghans. I mean, that's just incontrovertible. I don't quite know why she was hedging her bets there. It is true.
You do know why.
She could have given. Maybe she could have given a canny. She could have given a canny answer.
You do know why, though. It's because in her own constituency, it is. I think it's almost 49% Muslim. And obviously she doesn't want to be thrown out any bigger. I don't know why she bothers. Why didn't she just tell the truth? Because she's going to get thrown out anyway. Why is it? I do agree on her argument about men, but why doesn't she just accept it? There's a court case going on right now. He has pleaded not guilty, I think, the guy. He'd only been in the country, a migrant, 8 days, and he's facing 3 sexual offences.
So those are long-standing communities in this country. We can have a conversation about that. I think almost everybody would agree.
No, this guy had been in the country for 8 days.
I'm talking about her constituency, right?
I see, yeah.
I think most people would agree that if you've got people from Afghanistan who've come to this country in the last 10 to 15 years, particularly in the last 12 months with regards to this story about the £7 billion email, the most expensive email in history, I think most people would agree that there are big cultural differences between the UK and Afghanistan when it comes to treatment of women, and other things, of course. So I kind of don't know why she's so terrified of answering the question.
And
I don't know.
And the trouble is, it makes ordinary people, regardless of what your political, wherever you stand in politics, to say, why don't politicians just tell the truth? Why don't they try that? And I heard quite a good LBC thing the other day in which Nigel Farage was on the phone in, and the bloke came on and poured an absolute bucket on him. Said, you did this, you did that, you're vile, the rest of it. He said, yeah. He said, yeah, you're right. He said, don't vote for me. Why doesn't she say the equivalent of that? This is why I'm saying it's not everybody's going to agree with me, but these are the facts and we have got to do something about it, or we've got to try. Why wouldn't she say that? The voters would say, doesn't matter whether you're left, right or centre. They would just say, you're right, there is something going on, and we are going to do something about it. There's also something going on with white men attacking women. I totally get that. But in this particular case, there are, I don't know whether they're misogynistic or they've just never, ever met women before they come to our country. There is something wrong with them.
As a woman, I actually genuinely find this infuriating. And I do feel that we are being monumentally gaslit when it comes to our safety as women in society. Because if politicians are more bothered and concerned about political correctness, about keeping their seats, about not losing their seats to whoever, for whatever reason, if that is the primary concern, as opposed to actually genuine protection of women, protection of girls and all the rest of it, then where do we even go from there? And I think there is so much political correctness. And what you're seeing is communities now where you've got, for example, migrant hotels that have been put up next to schools or whatever. Then you see incidents of reported sexual offences. These people that then go out onto the streets to protest because they want their women and children safe, they're called racist, they're called far right. Counter-protesters actually turn up with their refugees are welcome here, you know, stop the far right kind of thing. And there is still this notion that the simple desire to be safe as a woman is somehow wrong, and that is being deprioritised over the desire to promote minority groups. I worry about it. I do. I know you all probably watch this programme and think, oh, here you go. She's off on one again. I do. I worry about the safety of myself as a woman, about my fellow females, about children. And I worry about the fact that if you have the audacity to even raise concerns, you are still, to this day, labelled as far-right and or racist. And still to this day, politicians, they don't have the balls, quite frankly, to accept it for what it is, as per the example that I've just given you. Jess Phillips is probably the most senior MP responsible for protecting us. And if she were to accept facts for what they are, what hope do we have? I'm going to build an island for one, and I'm going to go live on it. That's all I've got time for. Thanks, guys. Thanks for your company at home. Have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow in a night.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hi there, welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Over the next 24 hours, it's going to stay warm and humid for many of us. An uncomfortable night for sleeping. Showers in the north and west, but drier towards the southeast. We've got low pressure moving slowly northeastwards, swinging some weather fronts into the west. That's what's causing the cloud and some outbreaks of showery rain into Scotland, Northern Ireland, western parts of England and Wales overnight. Elsewhere, mostly dry, areas of cloud, some low cloud and mistiness around southern and western coasts, and a muggy night to come wherever you are. Temperatures staying generally up around 15 to 18 Celsius. That gets us off to a warm start to Friday, but a mixed start depending on where you are across the United Kingdom. We've got areas of cloud and showery rain pushing into eastern Scotland, reaching Orkney, but not quite Shetland at this time. Western Scotland brightening up after earlier rain, and there will be further showers following into Northern Ireland, but perhaps an element of brightness there for a few hours during the early morning period. Wales and Western England likewise, band of cloud and some showery rain moving through, but the rain not too heavy towards the southwest. Ahead of this, the Midlands, eastern and southeastern England, seeing a hot and humid day. Temperatures widely in the mid to high 20s, touching 30 to 32 Celsius in some of the hotter parts of East Anglia and the southeast. Of course, that heat and humidity with low pressure nearby combining to give some thunderstorms, particularly for northeast England later in the day. And there'll also be further showers into the northwest, but some even livelier showers and thunderstorms developing on Friday night and into Saturday, emanating from France, pushing northwards across central and eastern parts of the UK. Some particularly heavy rain moving through northern England and southern Scotland, followed by further showers and thunderstorms, initially from the south and then into Sunday from the west. So, a lot of rain to come.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24.
sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good evening, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A75 at Annan is closed. Motorists should find alternative routes. The A470 northbound from Nantgarv to Upper Boat has diversions. In Staffordshire, expect delays on the A50 eastbound